Hey, beautiful. So here I am talking today about how to look after yourself to avoid losing yourself. And I'm talking specifically to you because you will be somebody who really resonates with being a change maker, with being sensitive, and with probably being a bit of a spiritual rebel. So you like to do things a bit differently. And already I can totally guess that you are really showing up and creating change in your relationships, with your family, with your communities, and out in the world. And I really want to talk about why it's so important that you use yourself, you use your self-care to really be that essential maintenance for you. So I say that self-care is essential me time maintenance, and it totally is. And really, I want to talk today about how you can implement self-care that really works for you. I want to talk a bit about how your imperfect action is exactly what's needed right now, and what you can do every day to avoid burnout so you can be supporting the people that you're here to support. So right now, there is so much going on globally, and you'll be really feeling like rage and anger, and you'll be in that space where you want to use your fury as your fuel. And that is amazing. I've actually done a masterclass on this, on using your fury as your fuel, in my free community group, the Sensitive Superstars Movement. So do come and check that masterclass out, because I talk about that in a bit of detail. You'll be in a space right now where you're really like, do you know what? I am done with things being the way they are. I want to contribute towards the world feeling very different, right? I really want to be coming from that compassionate place. And to do that, you have to show up with compassion towards yourself. So first and foremost, you have to have like self-care that works for you. You have to find that time every day to do self-care, and it's preventative and it's cure. So you do it so that you can fill yourself up, so that you can feel good, so that you can go out and be there for the people that you're here to be with, and also so that you've got something to go to when you do get that sucked into that void. Your inner fear freaks start kicking in, and you start to kind of feel a bit stuck or overwhelmed. Because as a sensitive person, you've gone down life perhaps two different ways. Perhaps you've gone like really, you've learned that being sensitive is a bad thing, and you have felt like on your own with it, and you felt like the weight of the world. So you've numbed out. And why it's so important that we use our self-care so that we can look after ourselves is so that we can show up, right? We can show up. We know what our boundaries are. We know how to switch off when we need to, but we're not numbing ourselves. We're not dumbing ourselves down. We're not being ignorant. We are totally able to show up, to learn, to listen, to unpack, to do the inner work, and then to take whatever outer action feels right for that situation for us. And the other way you can go as a sensitive person is you can go like into overwhelm, like, oh my God, everything is so much, like I just don't know where to start, like I'm just taking the weight of everybody and everything on. And that is really equally as unhealthy and unhelpful for you and for the people that need you, because you just have got nothing, and you just literally are so on the floor with it. So that is equally a space where you need to know what your self-care looks like for you so that you cannot get to that place. Okay, so I suggest you look at your week. I always say this to my sisterhood, my membership community. Look at your week, the Sunday before the week starts. Schedule in 30 minutes, non-negotiable every day. What am I going to do for my 30 minutes of self-care on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Etc, etc, so that you get that bedded down. You're looking at your day really realistically. Where am I going to create the space? What am I going to stop doing so that I can put some self-care in here, right? I also want you to notice the triggers where you start to feel the inner fear freaks kicking in, where you start to feel like, oh my God, I'm getting led down this kind of like rabbit hole. So that in social media, so that you can stop, you can take some deep breaths, you can go, right, okay, I need to switch off from this right now. I need to go and speak to real people. I need to get on my mat. I need to do some yoga. I need to get out in nature. I need to breathe. I need to be in the elements, okay? So self-care doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to take you away from your life. It doesn't need to be time consuming. It does need to be consistent, and it does need to be things that genuinely bring you joy, that make you feel spacious, that make you feel connected to yourself, that make you feel connected to something bigger. Why is your imperfect action exactly what's needed right now, my lovely? Because when you're sitting there perfectly waiting for the right time to start doing the work, while you're waiting for that amazing window of time that's going to open up so you can start doing 2 hours of yoga every morning, what is happening? You're not being part of the solution. You are continuing to not feel good about yourself, because you're waiting for this perfect moment that doesn't exist. Imperfect action is so critical, and imperfect action doesn't have to, and it definitely doesn't mean just going out and just barreling into everything without knowing what's actually going on. It means listening, it means reading, it means doing the work, it means asking people and being willing to have difficult conversations. It means doing something imperfectly with the intention and the impact that matches as much as possible. It means being willing to receive support. It means being willing to stop doing things that are draining you, that are not part of your self-care, that are not allowing you to contribute towards change, that are just zapping you, okay? So it means being willing to stop doing things as well. And what can you do every day, my lovely, to avoid burnout so that you can support others? Well, without speaking to you personally, I don't know exactly what fills you up. I don't know exactly what makes you feel alive. But I would suggest you write down 10 things and look very realistically at how often you are doing those things or not doing those things. And if you ain't doing them, and the things that make you feel really good, and are going to really connect you to your highest good and highest good of everyone around you, then start doing them. Okay, so for me, 30 minutes of self-care a day minimum. My imperfect practice, which can be 10 minutes in the morning with a guided meditation, or it might be taking some time out at lunch to get on my mat. It might be having time outside, which is really important to me, moving, walking around. I work for myself, so quite often I can get into a very insular bubble, so making sure I get outside. I'm eating things that make me feel good. I am working with my cycle, which is a whole other topic that that I love sharing about, how we work with our cycle and work with our energy levels. So look at your list and look, right, what can I do every day that's going to make me feel really good, that's going to avoid burnout? And if you couple that with looking at what your triggers are, what makes you start to feel like you want to numb, what makes you start to feel like you want to switch off, what's creating that, you start to look at all of that and find that harmony where you are, showing up for yourself, you're doing your self-care, you're filling yourself up, you're connecting with yourself. Then you're looking at, right, what do I need to learn? What do I need to listen to? Where's what's going on right now that is really, that is needing me to listen, that's needing me to share and use my privilege. It needs me to use my platform. What do I, and that, like I say, that can be big scale globally. It could be in your family. It's really about looking at, where you are wanting and needing to show up, where you are being guided to, where those messages are coming in, where that inspiration is coming through to you in your practice, and taking aligned action from that place, okay? So I would love to know what has resonated for you from watching this. I recommend, like I say, join the Sensitive Superstars movement group on Facebook so that you can be engaged with this. We talk about things like this every day, where you can like really discover some great ways to work on your imperfect practice and your self-care, and inspire you and motivate you and amplify the voices of others. And also, if you want to get a little bit more up close and personal with your inner fear freaks, and understand where you're being held back by your inner fear freaks, where you're being kept stuck, you can check out the Inner Fear Freaks quiz. And yeah, I'll look forward to hearing from you very soon. Have a beautiful day. Lots of love.